And this one is a competitive roll and write that is offering you a revised and expanded version of the original game, which was just called A Wayfarer's Tale. This new version is going to have a few small rules tweaks that are going to be streamlining the game for you and also offering a more streamlined solo mode, but it's also going to be bringing in some new artwork and premium components, as well as new companions, special quests, and even weather conditions. And something that I really do like about this one is that the creators also provide a print and play version of the game on their website, which you can go ahead and check out. And this is just a smaller version of the game that will introduce you to the game and get you familiar with some of the new mechanisms. Other than that, this one will be playing very similar to the original, which I did cover back when it originally launched. So if you do want to know how that plays, I'll just go ahead and play that previous footage for you now. And this one is a competitive roll and write, and the way this game works is that each round you're going to be rolling 4 dice, with one of those die being only accessible to the active player. But each of the players will be able to choose 2 of the dice available to them to write down onto their own personal player sheet. And there's going to be 2 different sheets that players are managing. The first one is a map with different city locations that players are trying to visit in order to win the game. And then there's your main sheet that's broken into a whole bunch of different areas with spaces to write down the number of the die values that you chose. And each of these is going to allow you to move through different terrain out on the map, but they also all behave a little bit differently. One of these locations might always require you to put a die value that was larger or lower than the value before it, while other locations might require you to roll doubles or to put values in a grid following a certain pattern. But a really neat aspect that affects every area on this board is that there's going to be some spaces that are associated with a diamond, and whichever value you put into that is going to grant you that amount of victory points. So you always want to try and put the highest value as possible in those boxes, but it might be difficult depending on the pattern that you're trying to fulfill in that specific area. And alternatively, some of the spaces are associated with monsters, and the value that you put into those boxes is actually going to lose you victory points. And I mentioned that the main purpose of the map is to visit the different locations, and the more that you visit, the more victory points you'll gain, but there's also different icons scattered throughout the map that can gain you special abilities and actions in order to mitigate those cases where you lose victory points or augment those cases where you can gain them. And of course, the player with the most victory points at the end of the game wins the game.